They say to only bring what you can carry. So with the all-new 2025 Ford Expedition Tremor, bring a lot. Like 3 dirt bikes, a few tents, an entire crew ready to make memories. A panoramic 24-inch display, and the confidence to push your limits. The all-new 2025 Ford Expedition Tremor.
Always consult the owner's manual before off-road driving. Know your terrain and trail difficulty and use appropriate safety gear. Max payload varies based on accessories and vehicle configuration. See label on door jamb for carrying capacity of a specific vehicle. Always properly secure cargo.
You know, for all the what happens here stays here, I've noticed that Vegas is actually a little bit prudish. Today on CityCast Las Vegas, I'm talking to local burlesque performer Dirty Martini and my co-host Dayvid Figler to find out if Vegas entertainment is actually not as nude as it used to be and why. It's Monday, August 4th. I'm Sarah Lohman, and here's what Las Vegas is talking about. Okay, y'all, I'm a historian. I've seen the photos from the 60s and 70s of all the topless reviews in Vegas, the Folies Bergère and all that. Do we still have shows like that here? What do you think, Dirty?
Well, I feel like the styles have definitely changed as far as the nudity is concerned. And it may sound funny to say, oh, nudity and costuming in one phrase, but it's actually always been a part of burlesque and showgirl culture, or the plumes and the rhinestones and the $1 million budgets that famously were made the style choice for Vegas and made what we think of as the Vegas showgirl. So nowadays, we have a couple reviews trying to revive that. Unfortunately, the days of Don Arden are gone.
So it was a lot of like boobies out for sure. Nipples? No nipples? David?
Oh,
Pasties?
nipples were out.
Full nipple. So
I think,
okay.
but now
Booby,
I think
full nipple.
nipples are out.
In. Yeah. Nipples were out. Now nipples are out. Yeah, you have to have a pasty.
I mean, in Dirty Show, they're all wearing pasties. This is Dita Von Teese show. We should give her a plug because it's a great show.
Our show, the Dita Von Teese Queen of Burlesque show, is currently at the Voltaire at the Venetian.
Voltaire at the Venetian.
And yes, our nipples are concealed due to stylistic choices.
Not to be seen. Stylistic choices, not laws?
Yes, actually, our show is more covered up because, and a lot of our showgirls aren't topless because of the fabulous costumes that were from the Jubilee show, the Bob Mackie, Peter Menefee costumes that are actually archival museum pieces that we're able to wear thanks to the generosity of the new owners of the collection.
So it was previously at Bally's, and that was boobs out, nips out, feathers, feathers, feathers in the 60s and 70s.
Oh, in the 60s and 70s and 50s. So yeah, on the Las Vegas Strip, there were these extravagant showgirl shows, but they were all competing with each other. And the first one to actually be not just topless, but pasty-free was the Minsky Follies. They were getting tons and tons of people coming to see nipples because it was something that was not available in the rest of America.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was very franche, I guess. And then that spawned a lot of the shows that we're probably even more familiar with. The Lido de Paris, over at the Stardust, the Folies Bergère, and ultimately Jubilee and all the other kind of big production shows all had, basically the pasty-less, topless dancers within the realm. And there have been some very famous people who have been in those shows. Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, when she was underage, got into the show over at the Dunes. She was 17.
Okay, so I'm pretty sure that the only full nude anything we have in Vegas is Palomino's, the strip club that had been grandfathered in, that both serves alcohol and is fully nude. Oh, I guess there's other fully nude places, but they don't have alcohol.
There are 5 places now that they just don't serve alcohol, but Palomino, yes, as you said, is grandfathered in so we can all go and enjoy full nudity and have a nice glass of wine.
as I want to do. But other than our strip clubs, like what kind of semi-nude reviews are still out there?
Well, one, I can say I've been really doing my research as far as going to all the girly shows on the Strip.
Thank you for working so hard.
You do the hard work so that we can just listen.
Yeah.
And I found that Fantasy, it would have been, who is Anita Mann, as the choreographer and creator of that show, I believe.
Is Anita Mann a real name?
Of course. She really uses that name.
And where's Fantasy?
Yes.
Fantasy's the one at the Luxor?
Fantasy is at the Luxor, and that is a topless show and has elements of burlesque in it, but less showgirl. As I said, the styles have changed, and these big, giant budget revues with beautiful costumes that were laundering money for the mob, most likely, allegedly, don't exist anymore because of the expense involved. However, we can still see some really beautiful nipples.
I do feel like that there has been one sort of egalitarian change since the mid-century, and that is that there are more almost naked men on the Strip. We, of course, have the Thunder Down Under, which I haven't seen. Have either of you?
Oh, yes.
How is it?
Well, I am enthusiastic about going to all the male shows.
Good.
I love a motorcycle and gyration together and some suggested nudity. But I have to say that I did see Chippendales and really, really wanted to see that classic bow tie and neon G-string combo with the little cuffs that we're so used to.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it was all boxer briefs.
Boxer briefs?
Yes.
Tidy-whitey sort of things?
Well,
that
like
go
that
down a little bit.
Popular boxer brief style where it's like, what you'd think of as Calvin Klein's, I guess.
Leather or spangles?
No, that just some sort of
breathable cotton
panties.
Fellas in their underwear. I mean, I can get that at my house. I don't need to go out for that,
Exactly my thoughts. I want to see some exotic underthing.
I have to say, out of the boys, I have seen the Magic Mike one, which was fabulous, fun, really well choreographed. The men smell really good, and I know that because you can touch them, which really scandalized me. They come into the audience and dance on you. We were in the cheap seats, and our guy climbed all the way up there, and he was like, "You can touch me." Like, they encourage you to, put your hands on them.
It's lap dance style. They do a lot of that lap dancing in there, which you shouldn't be afraid to go if you don't like that sort of thing, because the show is quite good, the Magic Mike show.
Very consent-based, too. You say, no, thank you, and then they're just like, okay. But there is something I need you to explain to me, David.
Mm-hmm.
What is that butt statue that just got moved into the circle?
Oh, the butt statue. So that is a famous, notorious bronze statue of, I think it's maybe just a handful of actual showgirls who were at a revue that was at the former Riviera Hotel also called Crazy Girls. It was in a very janky, small showroom. Riviera had a very interesting approach to entertainment in the 90s. And so they had an improv and this Crazy Girl show and one other show. And so they all posed and they had the catchphrase, no ifs, ands, ... or buts.
Or buts.
And so this was stationed, if you will, in front of the Riviera.
It's life-sized. It's people-sized.
It is life-size. There were, semi-famous showgirls involved in that at the time. And sometimes tourists would come up and rub the butts for luck. The original Crazy Girls over at the Riviera was a big marketing splash. If you were in Las Vegas at the time, you would see it on cab tops. You would see it on billboards. It was pretty omnipresent. And so that catchphrase was really kind of a cheeky part of the culture at the time. And I think it spawned a lot of the other shows that came after it, maybe a little less on the production investment value, more on the marketing. And we see that in a lot of the shows that followed it, whether it be the Crazy Horse at Paris, which, drew the likes of Carmen Electra to dance topless there, or even, as late as 2009, Peep Show, which starred Angel Perino, Kelly Monaco, and even Holly Madison. And the funny thing about Peep Show is that it was at Planet Hollywood, and it started with pasties, and it just tanked. So they removed the pasties, and that propelled it to go for a little bit further so people could see Holly Madison right there, stark topless.
Interesting.
Ah, Smart Water. Pure, crisp taste.
That's really good water.
It's the kind of water that says, I have my life together.
I do feel more sophisticated.
Smart Water. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
Leading a business today means constantly adapting. On the Executive Insights podcast, brought to you by AWS, global leaders share how they're making tough calls, testing bold ideas, and putting innovation into practice, generative AI included. If you're looking for real stories behind what's working, this is it. Subscribe to the Executive Insights podcast today, available now on all major podcast platforms.
Dirty, being in a current burlesque show, and a lot of the dancers in the city here and the performers, what are you hearing in your circles about nudity in Vegas shows? Is there more pressure to be more demure and cover more up today than maybe there was 20 years ago?
Well, I love the separation of the idea of the colloquial notion of the nudity as opposed to the laws and the particulars that Dayvid will have such a good handle on, I'm sure. I tried to look it up and I'm telling you, it's like Swiss cheese, right? All the little places that you can have nudity and the license levels and all of that stuff. Mm-hmm. The dancers in Vegas that I know that are in the local burlesque scene always seem to feel like the bigger shows on the Strip have more leeway as far as covering up or not. They have more choices. And the shows that are a little bit more off Strip, smaller, are subject to having some people tell on them. So famously, there's the Lost Spirits situation that happened not too long ago, a couple of years ago, where the dancers were made to cover up because of the laws there, where that Area 15 area was, where Lost Spirits was. Mm-hmm.
That's the burlesque venue that closed not too long ago, about a year ago.
Yes, exactly. Mm-hmm. And so, it was sad because as burlesque dancers, we have our costumes. It's a part of our number. It's a part of our overall expression. And so we feel that we're being silenced when we're told to cover up, because as long as it's a adult consenting audience or parents who don't mind nudity for their children, then, we feel like it's our self-expression that's at risk here.
So, Dayvid, despite our sort of anything goes enticement, are we actually more prudish now than we used to be?
I think we've always kind of been prudish, just in different ways. But I think the short answer to your question, Sarah, is yeah, we're a little more cautious and prudish, especially in the bigger spectacle type shows, right? So there are some laws at play here, and I want to try to go over those as quick as possible. So there's, erotic dance licensing. So any erotic dance club, which would be a gentleman's club or strip clubs, whether it's male or female, are regulated by the county. And so there are certain things you can and cannot do. And it has gone through different challenges over the years. There was a time in litigation I was involved with as a defense attorney where they said you can have no touching. They were really trying to ban lap dances, if you will, in strip clubs. And that was not successful. Now, in showrooms, you can only have nudity if it meets certain requirements. On the Strip, if you have a showroom, it has to have at least 125 seats. The patrons have to have assigned tickets. They have to be escorted to their seat by an usher.
Wow.
And they have to have a liquor license in the showroom. This is how you get just general nudity. But then if you're in a casino or some establishment that has a gaming license, the Nevada Gaming Control Board basically has free reign to say, that's too much, right? They talk about in terms that the gaming board really can stop anything that, quote unquote, is detrimental to the public health, safety, morals, good order, and general welfare of Nevadans, or anything that would, quote unquote, reflect or tend to discredit on the state or gaming industry.
So just willy-nilly, whenever they feels like it.
That has been used in a lot of gaming establishments to shut stuff down. When Spiegelworld first came to Las Vegas and they had a show called Vegas Nocturne, they infamously had one of the performers fully nude, but with what we call in the business a merkin, which is, fake pubic hair. And they got away with that.
The business of lawyering.
Yeah. But then there have been other shows. Notoriously in 2013, there was a show at the Venetian based on, and I'm sure Dirty is familiar with this, the Box nightclub in London and New York City.
It's mainly known for its shocking acts and its transgressive performance, which didn't quite go over here, huh, David?
Yeah, so there was a spinoff of it here called The Act. It was at the Venetian. And I think the showpiece of that particular production was a simulated penis shooting simulated liquids into the crowd. Yeah.
I feel I've seen something very similar at Mavericks, honestly. So
fair enough. The Venetian shut it down on their own accord, and they claimed that it was because they didn't want to run afoul of the gaming code because it could shut down their license. And there have been lots of instances both on and off the strip with places that have gaming that if nudity of any sort of shows up, gaming control kind of walks by and says, you better stop this. And I have attorney-client privilege examples of that happening in local bars where things got just a little too naughty and they were cited for harboring a object that incited immorality.
A dildo.
No, it wasn't. It was just like a little kiddie ride. And sometimes patrons would get on it and get a little raucous.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
So a lot of this fear is coming from like the threat, this vague sort of threat of losing blah, blah, blah. But I remember actually, Dirty, when we were at the AVN Expo, we talked to the people who run Torture Garden, which is actually, it's not a play party. It's not a sex party. It's a kink party. So people give each other a little smack. There's like really cool performers and things like that. The guy said that he's been arrested several times and they had to close up in Las Vegas because undercover cops would come and as soon as they saw a nipple, and we're not even talking performers, we're talking like people who are in like sexy outfits who are there. As soon as a nipple popped, they'd shut down the whole event and arrest the producers. So Vegas can be surprisingly strict.
Well, it's about those licenses, right? So if you do have any kind of nudity in a business, you have to have an adult license. I remember the exact phraseology that was on the citation in that bar that I was working with. Catalyst for immorality is what the gaming board said that this little kiddie ride was. And it was an over 21 place. It was a bar with gaming. So I was also at a firm that was representing individuals at a local strip club. Actually, it was a local Peep Show called Showgirl Video. And they had an act there where two women were dancing provocatively around each other and they were pulling up people from the audience, which was just, basically horny businessmen. And the cops raided it and everyone got charged with, quote unquote, infamous crime against nature, which was a law that was on the books. Only recently did it get repealed. But there was this law on the book that said basically any depiction of same-sex sexual activity is against the law.
Excuse me, I'm just writing down, what was it? Catalyst for immorality.
That was a citation. And then also infamous crime against nature.
Now, I don't see any trees or chipmunks anywhere near those strip clubs. So
Yeah.
Infamous crime against nature.
Infamous crime against nature. Look it up.
Here's the big question. Like, is it just the laws contributing to that change in attitude or are there other pressures happening here?
Well, I love the fact that Vegas now is so corporate, you can't miss it. And famously, when you work corporate events, you always have to deal as a burlesque dancer with fabulous costumes. There's always the notion of where are you going to stop? Are you going to have nipple tassels? Are you going to have pasties? And corporate, there's always somebody below the boss that's worried that the boss is going to get offended, right? In corporations. So now if you see a showgirl, like there are a lot of showgirls that have companies that are rent a showgirl basically for your event. And you'll notice that they're very covered up. Bikini, like something you'd see at a pool. only fancy.
Yeah. I have a friend who works as a showgirl at parties, and she's often dressed more like I almost said vintage showgirl, but not the nipples out showgirl, like a 50s showgirl, like a very like covered one piece, you know? So like sexy, pretty, but not like nips out.
I want to share an anecdote for how things maybe have changed. So when I was underage in Las Vegas, I saw a number of these topless reviews, and there was really no issue of me getting in to see the Lido de Paris, which I saw numerous times. Honestly, the first time I saw a naked person live, as you would expect, no issue ever. The same year that I saw Lido de Paris twice, because my dad used to get comps, let's say 12.
Oh, okay.
I was banned entry into the showroom at the Riviera to see Steve Martin. Now, I was the biggest Steve Martin fan at the time, had both of his records that were out at that time, and I was barred entry even though we did have comps because they said it was material inappropriate for underage kids.
Well, comics have always had to deal with, being too blue and getting, arrested alongside the showgirls. But
I was going to say, Steve Martin had a lot of drug humor at the time. He did use, curse words in the albums. And I guess that's why they thought, it would screw me up, but not seeing a bunch of boobies.
Now, how do you feel? Do you feel screwed up because you saw the Lido de Paris?
Clearly dirty.
It explains a lot.
It does.
Dayvid, I'll ask you first. Then I'm going to come to you last, Dirty. But do you think that Las Vegas is missing something because of these changes? Like, is it important for us to still be a little bit naked, a little bit naughty?
It definitely takes a little of the gloss off of libertine Las Vegas that has, back in the 50s, the first to show that type of nudity to where we are now, which is, pretty staid. There's some beautiful performances. There's some beautiful production shows, Dita Von Teese being at the top of that list. But, as far as things like The Act, that was really interesting. Some of the stuff that, was happening at Vegas Nocturne and Rose Rabbit Lie, the sort of precursors to Absinthe, et cetera, were really pushing a lot of boundaries. And while I still think that there are shows out there that push boundaries, I think that the line of the boundary is a lot closer to conservative than it's ever been before. And I do think we miss out on a little something, having that ability to experiment, even if it doesn't work. To kind of make us different from all the other places that are now Vegas light around the world.
Dirty, do you think we should still be a little naked? Like, are we missing something?
I think that it's very important to have self-expression, and I think people are going to start noticing in the next year or so some clamping down due to the politics that are happening right now with Project 2025, where, we as women have to go back into the kitchen and just have some babies. I don't know what we do after we're not allowed to have babies anymore with our body parts not able to do that anyhow.
I mean, it's a war on pornography in your own home. So what do you think that it's going to be like in public spaces like showrooms?
Pornhub is no longer available in some states.
Well, I worry too, because a lot of the art that's creating these shows that like The Box or Mavericks or the burlesque shows that you'll see that are under the radar here that, won't get rated because nobody knows about them. That's what I'm thinking is going to be at risk, because you need the wider arts to continue in order to have the smaller venues be successful. Do
you think that some of the more risque shows will go underground in Vegas, or will they just not come here at all? Will they stay in places like San Francisco or Portland?
Well, it seems like the topless shows are doing pretty well. Going to the X Burlesque and going to Fantasy, I've found that the audiences are there for it, and they're very enthusiastic. And they're fun. And Rouge is another one. Fun shows, just silly and,
joyful.
Just as crazy and weird. And why are they doing this? That's what I love about those shows. They're just so wacky. Like,
well, old school Mavericks, when it was over at Cheap Shot, would really go in directions that were unexpected. And I was surprised to even see it. I think because it was under the radar and it didn't translate over to the bigger showroom with the gaming license, right?
I'm glad to hear that these shows are sort of fun and weird and wacky, because I think that even speaks back to things like Jubilee at Bally's and like it including the Titanic sinking, right? Like so over the top and boobs. And isn't that what we really want from Las Vegas?
Huge fan.
Dayvid, Dirty, thanks so much for talking about this with me.
Thanks, Sarah.
It's been a pleasure.
And that's all for today here on CityCast Las Vegas. Hey, if you thought this was a fun episode, share it with a friend. You can also rate our show and leave us a review where you get your pods. And don't forget, subscribe to our morning newsletter. And you can support this show and get great perks by becoming a CityCast Las Vegas neighbor at membership.citycast.fm. We'll be back tomorrow morning with more news from around the city. Take care.
Huge fan.